So you're in this course, you've probably noticed that doing hair for photos is very different from doing hair behind the chair. And sometimes when you're on a shoot, you look at the monitor and it looks nothing like what you thought it would or what you hoped it would. Maybe it's the lighting that's different from what you'd expected, or maybe the photographer went and changed the setup without telling you, or maybe it's you. Maybe it's you that's having an off day that day. Now, over the last 20 plus years, I've been on literally thousands of shoots, and some of them have been awesome. I've had a great outcome, and a few have been absolute crappers. So in the next few lessons, I just want to show you how to make sure that the camera loves the hair, even if you don't. So how it works is this: the camera sees lines, shadows and light and creates the illusion of depth or dimension, sort of similar to how we do with hair colouring. So in this lesson, what we're going to do is get your eye in so that you can see the hair like a camera does. I'm going to get you to do an exercise now, and for each part of the exercise I'm only going to give you just enough information to actually go through and do the activity, because the learning will emerge as you go, and then we'll talk about what you've learned and what the key outcomes are after each part. So, to kick things off, you're going to need some magazines. Now, make sure that you're happy to tear pages from these magazines, because that's the first bit. So, pause the video, go grab a magazine or three. Alright, now you've got your magazines, take a seat, get comfortable, and turn the pages of your magazines at approximately this pace, which is roughly 1 page per second. And when an image catches your eye, or as Marie Kondo says, sparks joy, just pause, tear the page out and lay it on the ground and get back to turning the pages. You're going to take a few minutes to do this bit and end up with a pile of tear sheets. So I think roughly 20 or so images would be ideal. And it's not really important what the images are, it's just about you kind of letting your mind go and vibing on whatever speaks to you without any judgment or preconceived ideas. So, don't think about it too much, just pause the video and get in and do the exercise. So you should have around 20 or so tear sheets together now. What you're going to do is make some space on the floor and lay them all out in a grid with enough space for you to move in around between them. And once you've laid them all out, I'm going to get you to separate them into two groups, right? What you're going to do is separate them into editorial and advertising. Now, remember, I don't want to over-explain this, so I'm just going to give you enough information to do each step. So, group the editorial images on one side and the advertising images on the other side, and leave a space in between them so that they're separate. Pause the video and get on with it. What were you looking for when you were doing this exercise to decide if an image was an advertising image or an editorial image? Here's a basic breakdown of advertising versus editorial. So advertising often has a brand logo on it, which is different from editorial, which usually has credits on the page and will often mix and match the brands. Advertising is about selling a specific brand or product, whereas editorial is more about exploring and communicating current or forward-thinking trends or concepts. Advertising pages are paid for by the brand, and the content is created by the brand and supplied to the magazine for printing. And the team who produce the images is generally put together by the agency producing the campaign. Whereas with editorial pages, they're paid for by the magazine and the content is created by them. The team is put together by the magazine. On advertising jobs, the team gets paid their commercial day rate, which can be anywhere from $300 a day to $10,000 a day, depending on your level. Whereas editorial rates are often very low if you get paid at all. Because editorial is a way for teams to collaborate creatively, develop relationships, get their name credits in the publication, and create images for their portfolios. And then there is advertorial. So, what is advertorial? Advertorial is a type of advertising that looks just like editorial content. It can be a bit confusing, but it's paid for by a brand. However, the creative is put together by the magazine. And the magazine puts together the team, and the team often consists of the magazine's regular editorial contributors. And they're usually paid their advertising day rates for advertorial, by the way. So it is great work to get onto, but it can be a little bit confusing to know who to take direction from on the day. So next, we're going to take a look at the difference between a beauty shot and a fashion shot. So separate your tear sheets into two more groups, fashion and beauty. What you're going to do is push the fashion images to the top and the beauty images to the bottom. So pause the video now and off you go. Go do it. I wonder how you were deciding if an image was beauty or fashion. It can be an interesting one, right? But here's a simple and very general way to think about it. A shot that is wider than the midsection is thought of as a fashion shot, and anything tighter is beauty. There's always exceptions and anomalies to that rule. That's a general rule, right? For example, a skincare campaign that focuses on the whole body. So this is just kind of a general guideline to help you understand the basic sorts of composition that we might need to think about on a shoot. Personally, I love it when a cover or the opening page of a story is the beauty shot. And it's even better when the whole shoot is beauty. So I put together a list of common beauty shoots that you might want to think about trying to get on. And they are makeup, hair, skincare, eyewear, millinery, that's hats, jewellery and accessories, and there might be others. Okay, so moving on with the exercise. Now we're going to look at where the shots were done, whether they were done in the studio or on location. So now you're going to separate your tear sheets into 2 more groups and put the studio images on the left and the location shots on the right. Press pause and get on with it. What were some of the things you were looking at to figure out if an image was shot in the studio or whether it was on location? And the other question is, why is that important to us as hairstylists? So here's a few things to think about when shooting on location. 1, how far is it to travel? So you know what time to get up in the morning. 2, what's the light likely to be like? And importantly, what time do we have to start hair and makeup, particularly if we're trying to get that magic early morning light? 3, is there electricity? Will they have a makeup truck or will we be making do with prep facilities? 4, how easy will it be to access the location? Can I get my kit in or will I need to put together a mini kit of some sort? 5, what about the weather? Wind, rain, humidity, how's that going to affect the hair? And how should I dress? How about the elements? Is it going to be dusty, sandy, buggy? Are we in or near or on the sea? So lastly, we're going to look at lighting and if an image was shot with available light or whether it was lit. So separate the tear sheets into 2 more groups and place the available light images to the top and the lit images to the bottom. Now you don't need to keep them in the other categories now, it's just going to jumble them all up. We're just looking at lighting at this point. So pause the video and do the exercise. Was it easy to tell if an image was lit or shot with available light? Did you notice when you're doing this that there was a lot of different lighting styles amongst the images you chose? And what were they all? There's a lot to think about, right? You know, my head hurts when I do this exercise. I don't know about you. But here's the good news. Understanding lighting and everything there is to know about photography is not actually your job, right? Nor is it really necessary. It's actually the art director and the photographer's job. They're the experts in that area, and your job is to be the specialist in what you do, which is hair, and leave all the other stuff up to the specialists in their particular departments. Like if you think about it, how long has it taken you to learn all the things that you know about hair? For example, color chemistry, biology, angles of elevation, the effects of water and heat on the hydrogen bonds of the hair. I mean, there's all of this crazy technical knowledge that you have that makes you an expert. And to be fair, no one else really needs to know about that stuff. For one, it would confuse them and clog up their brains. I mean, all they really need to know is, do they like it? Does it work for the girl? Does it look good on camera? And if it doesn't, how can you fix it so that it does? But what you do need to know about lighting is how different light affects the hair and what you can do to make sure that it works. So here's four things you need to know about light. Soft light is much more forgiving and flattering on the hair. It hides a myriad of imperfections and it can be our best friend. Hard light, often quite directional. Hard light makes hair really, really shiny. So if you know what you're doing, hard light can make you look very good. However, it also shows up any things like product overuse, and it can highlight hair damage like split ends because the harder light's kind of bouncing off the reflective surface of the cuticle. One of the things about hard light is it also creates shadows on the face if you've got any hair hanging down. So if the light's hard or directional, you want to use less product and spend more time refining and polishing the hair texture with heat and tools. Side light can be either hard or soft, so the same rules would apply as to hard and soft light, but there's kind of extra shadows with side light, so you need to be aware which side the hair should sit on, where the shadows will fall on the face and how that affects the girl's face. And if you're doing a look that's got a side parted look, you should check the light before you lock it in, because you may need to swap the hair from one side to the other, which is going to be much easier for everyone than having to relight the whole setup to accommodate the hair. And then there's backlight, which can make for really magical, whimsical images, but backlight shows up flyaways like nothing else. It even seems to show up flyaways that you can't even see. They're not even there, and then turn the lights on and there's flyaways. And also, depending on the setup, backlight can sometimes make the hairstyle appear much smaller. So that's my crash course for getting your eye in and understanding the different types of images you're going to be working with. I know there was a lot to digest there, so if you need any help, just let us know.